Welcome to our BVI Parent segment. Hey, we have a good episode for you guys tonight. Sit down, take a seat. Let's get to it. Sassy, what we got for them?
Yes, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I think this is a great panel of parents, of BVI parents, and I'm so happy to be able to bring this to the table so that we can kind of shed some positivity on BVI parenting. And I'm just happy that all of our guests are here. And so we'll go ahead and introduce them all to you before we jump into some nitty gritty of BVI parenting. Okay, so first of all, I would like to welcome Tyler and Leanne to the table. Welcome, Tyler and Leanne.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes. So why don't y'all tell us a little bit about your parenting journeys or your children and where you're from?
All right. So I'm Leanne Marin. This is Tyler Marin, my husband.
Hi, Tyler.
And we have 4 children. Our oldest is 25. He's our only son. And we have 3 girls, and they are 21, 17, and 9.
Beautiful.
Oh,
and
awesome.
we live in Michigan, and we are homeschooling. So
wow, that's awesome.
I
Thank you.
Love it. Love
welcome,
it. And welcome to the table. Yes, indeed. Glad that y'all sitting down with us for sure. And so we're gonna continue this on. And our next guest that we have that I'm gonna introduce is Miss Jennifer. Hi, Miss Jennifer. Talk to us and tell us a little bit about your parenting journey and where you're from.
Absolutely. So, hi, everybody. So I am actually from Wichita, Kansas, and I have 2 girls. They are ages 10 and almost 12, and those tween years are killing me. So anybody who knows,
I think a lot would
knows.
agree.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank
Thank you for sitting down with us. Welcome to the table.
Thank you.
And then we have up next Mr. North Carolina, Rodriques.
Hey, how are you? My parenting journey, I have a 1.5-year-old and a 4-month-old.
Oh, baby.
So baby bloom.
He's fresh.
He's fresh in the game.
Yeah, very close together. Started late. I'm like 42, so yeah, it's interesting.
I
but
can't
I love
wait
every
to hear
moment
your
of it,
stuff.
Love it. Love to hear it. Beautiful, man. Welcome to the table.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then we have coming up next is Miss Denise. How you doing, Miss Denise? Talk to us.
Hello, I'm Denise. I'm here in Houston, and man, I feel like old school around here. All these young parents. I actually have adult children, 2 boys, both married now. So,
nice.
Beautiful.
I guess I'm bringing the season to the table.
All levels, baby. All
tell you
levels.
what,
That's what we're talking about.
I can't wait to get there. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
So,
talk.
All right. And last but not least, we have Daniel. Welcome, Daniel.
Hello, good evening. I'm Daniel from South Texas. I have my family here, my wife who's sighted, and my 2 children. David is 3 years old, and Hannah is 1 year old.
Oh, you have another, like the guys. Oh, you guys have, both of you guys have young babies. Yes.
Beautiful. Welcome to the table, Daniel.
Welcome, you guys. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm with you, Denise. Don't worry, because I'm one of the older ones. I have 5 children, and mine are oh gosh, I can't say I have too many children, obviously, because I can but mine are, I know, what's it, 30, 32, 31, 28, 25, 20. Oh no, and 17.
17. There we go.
So I that 17 one slipped in there, but I would have been done had I not had. So I still have one. That's why I'm still waiting to. Denise says I can't wait to get them all out so I can live my life.
That's right. And for myself,
they never leave. Let me
Right.
tell you.
They
Yes,
never leave.
Then the
exactly.
grandchildren come around.
Oh yes, that's
wow.
true.
So
All
I
right,
have
Joseph.
I have one daughter myself. She's 14. And have other kids that I claim
And
as
yeah, you've
mine as
raised other
well.
people's kids, right?
So
Yeah.
really, I have
Mhm.
3. A 18-year-old boy and 17-year-old girl and another 14-year-old girl. So that's my journey.
All right. And so one thing that we did not share with our listeners, though, but so that we're clear, all of us on here are either blind or visually impaired, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
Yes,
indeed.
yes.
Yes, indeed.
So, okay, guys, there's one thing that I wanted to bring up first because it's just it's been bothering me, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I do have some, structure going on, but I just have to ask this question first. So on Facebook, I like to go on Facebook a lot, and in one of the parenting groups, and you guys may have seen this, somebody spoke about their 6-year-old child, okay, that got in trouble for talking at school, and they were made to write, I guess, what do they call them? Standards, when you repeat the sentence over and over again.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, I will not talk. And they had to write it 60 times. And the parents, the mother that commented, I mean, they were in uproar and thought this was like cruel and unnecessary punishment. It was just very extreme. And I would like to know your thoughts. Do you think that a 6-year-old writing I will not talk 60 times is a extreme punishment? Or, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
For a 6-year-old, absolutely.
Really?
I think that I do. For a 6-year-old, I think that's a little excessive. Because you got to think about the age, and also the emotional maturity at that age is not going to be that great. Now, keep in mind, I'm coming from a place, I have a daughter who has ADHD, and that is, I'm kind of thinking of it from her perspective. When she was 6 years old, I couldn't even get her to finish a sentence, much less
one
60.
sentence. Yeah.
Understand.
So I'm just kind of thinking about it from her point of view.
Yeah.
And my other daughter does not have ADHD. And even then, I don't even think at 6 years old, she could have completed that without just being in tears. So I can just imagine how
For 6,
emotional that could be for a 6-year-old.
All right. Yeah. Any
Good
other
view.
thoughts?
I have to agree with Jennifer on that one. And we homeschool our kids, so the discipline and all of that falls to us. We don't have teachers that we're dealing with. But first of all, my child talks all day. She does not have an off switch.
Oh.
So
Look, Tyler's all day long.
It goes on and on. But a lot of it is just trying to find ways to get her to focus for short periods of time. A 6-year-old is not going to focus for a long period of time. It just doesn't happen. And I've worked in classrooms as well. I've been a room mom for a kindergarten class, and they just don't sit, and they don't sit quietly. And so I think those expectations just are unrealistic.
Well, yeah, they're not designed to.
Right. Exactly.
They're not designed to. And I think it's interesting too, like, just a real quick point, like it's so funny to me that when we have these babies and they're 6 months old and a year old and a year and a half old, and say mama, say dada, like we're doing everything we can to get them to talk, and then by the time they turn 4 or 5, 6, like we're like, just sit down and be quiet.
Shut up.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
shut up.
Yeah, you're sure right.
Beautiful point.
We definitely needed to set appropriate times for talking and not, but yeah, it just sometimes I think people go a little too hard on that.
Well, and as far as that punishment goes, if I tried to do anything like that with any of my children, it would go right over their head. I mean, they wouldn't understand even why they were doing it, other than, mom's mad at me or a teacher's mad at me. They're not really going to get that
because
I'm supposed to apply this going forward, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
I had
good plan.
an instance where my sister was actually in the 7 years old, second grade, and the teacher did something like that. She said, "You talk too much." Well, guess what happened? She stopped talking. And I mean, she stopped talking. And even to now, I mean, she's like 40 something years old, and we still say, okay, she's gotten better because of TikTok, I guess.
Yeah.
We have to give you a microphone and a video so you can talk now.
Yeah.
But it was detrimental for her as a young child, a teacher, because that's like a parent at school, right? To say you talk too much, stop talking. And when she did, it was hard at school after that.
Yeah.
All of her formidable years, she stopped talking.
Wow.
So I think it's too harsh.
Yeah. Daniel, what are your thoughts?
I believe that 60 sentences were excessive. And it cut down on education time because that takes time. So rather than engaging in the academics along with the classroom, this student was not learning. He was just writing endless sentences that, in the end, it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Rodrigues, what's your thoughts?
I did it growing up as a kid, and I thought it was crazy. But I learned from it. But nowadays, I mean, with the standards that we have for our kids, stuff is done a little bit different. And I think from an emotional standpoint, it was too much. And I don't think that the point got across because at 6 years old, I mean, that's what they do. They talk. I mean, you're still learning structure in school. So, of course, you're going to talk at school because that's probably the only time you're really around other kids. So I think the punishment for a 6-year-old was a little excessive, and I don't really feel like from an emotional standpoint he even comprehended the punishment or even the sentence that he was writing.
Right.
So oh my gosh. Okay. Here's the thing. I guess for me, I'm thank you guys for, enlightening me with all of that, because my original thought was that she's throwing a fit over that. So what? And I'm thinking, well, he gets to practice writing. He gets to practice his letters. And, 60, which is a random number, I'm sorry, he gets to count too, because he's going to lose track of how many times he's written the sentence. So he's going to be counting over and over again a few times. So that's practicing counting. So that was
you put the little silver lining in there. So beautiful.
And that's what I was thinking. But then it was in lieu of recess, by the way. So instead of him going out to recess, he sat in the classroom and did that. And so I don't think, but I just thought because I was obviously the odd man out, because I read the comments, everybody was like, this is ridiculous. I would go to the principal and I would do this. And I'm like, gosh, calm down. Like, what is wrong? So, but now that I think about, listening to you guys, okay, 6, yeah, I guess, maybe if he was 12, that would be different, because, it's a little bit different. And then maybe not 60. What about just 5? Just to, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I don't know. I'm sorry, guys.
I guess in lieu of recess, I guess that would have kept him occupied.
Because I was like, he could just sit there at recess and do what? Just kick back in the chair and do nothing? No, he's going to have to think about it. I said he'll never talk again.
The crime must fit the punishment. Like, I understand that, we try to have, like, for teachers, they try to have standards in the classroom and such, but, this disruptive flow. So it's just like, okay, what happened to we're just going to, sit you for a timeout for, like 2 minutes or so, let you really think about, just kind of understand in the moment that, hey, this is not really the time to kind of disrupt the class, and that type of aspect, instead of, really just going fully deep with the 60 words. Even in my time, like I grew up where schools could still had corporate punishment. So for me, I would sit down to the principal, and we had to, for the punishment time, it was like either you're going to get the pop on your hand. And I felt like all of that was just totally like too much. And I'm glad they done away with it over time. And even with the kids I've dealt with, like, I've had teachers tell me, like, well, he's really smart, but he won't slow down. I'm like, well, I'm sorry that the young man has ADHD. So is there any
Yeah.
like other things that we can do to occupy him, or just give him other avenues on to understand like, hey, this is the time that we need to just maintain the focus and focus on these letters, and then we can have the recess, or in
Yeah,
that
and
manner.
you're the point you just made, and the crime must fit the punishment, right? And after listening to you guys, okay, I will. The punishment must also fit the age too.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Exactly.
and now I see, because yeah, I'm like 6. Like, yes, yeah, because and to Tyler's point, like they're supposed to talk. We want them to
Right.
talk, right?
Mhm.
Why would we want them to not talk now after we're sitting there trying to get them to talk for the past 3 years, since they've been 2. So, all right. So, okay. I,
So, parents, I have a
I
question.
retract.
As we all are, blind and visually impaired parents on here, can y'all, let me know what has been the worst stereotype that you guys have heard or come across? Because
Ooh.
I've come across some man. So I just want to hear from you guys. What do y'all have?
Yeah, I just want to jump in and throw this out there too, that I find it super amusing that we have this panel of parents who are blind and visually impaired, and yet the first question out the gates, which I love completely, the
Mhm.
first question out the gates is just a super straightforward general parenting question, right? Didn't have anything to do with blindness or nothing like that,
Mm-mm.
and
Yep.
but that's because like leading into this question, I think like one of the things that's so funny about this whole topic is all of us are on this call and we're all like, yeah, parenting question. Like, and I think a lot of people listening to the podcast are gonna be like, what about blind parenting, right? It's
Yeah.
like, well, being a blind parent is just being a parent
A
There we
with
go.
like
parent.
a
Yes.
few few
Yes.
little differences here and there. So all of us are like, yeah, let's talk about this 6-year-old kid talking situation. And
Yes.
so it's just super
Yeah.
funny to me, like we're
That
just
is
parents, right?
right. And
Right.
Tyler, you know what? Actually, in that post, she even specified that too. She was like, "This is not a blind parent thing. This is just a parenting thing,"
Yeah.
and that is so true. Good, great point. Thank you
And I
for
think that's
yeah,
what really we're trying to get the community to understand. Like, blindness have nothing to do with us being functional parents and our parenting styles. It's just blind is
yeah,
just who we happen to be. However, at the end of the day, we love our kids and we want the best for our kids, and
Yeah.
that's what a parent
Absolutely.
is.
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely. But to like
And
answer
that's
your question, I think one of my stereotypes, I think it was really fun. My wife and I lived in Florida for a number of years. We lived down near Fort Lauderdale. We're in Coral Springs, a pretty busy place.
Hmm.
So we walk everywhere. We take the bus everywhere. And the number of people that would like see us walking with our kids and oh, hi, how are you? Are you going to help mommy and daddy cross the street? And it's
Oh
like,
man.
man, my 4-year-old is not helping
Yeah.
me cross this street. Like we're talking some busy streets. It's like that's mom and dad's job, guys. Like,
Exactly.
That I think that is one of the biggest. That was a
That's
good
one of my
one.
biggest ones. Yeah, that was
Yes.
definitely a good one.
Yes.
That's the main one I hit all
Yes.
the
You
time.
make
I'm
sure
just
you
like,
help
wow.
your mommy. You make sure
Yeah.
you help her
Make
and
sure you
take
have
care of her.
dad, hold
Yeah.
dad hand. I'm just like, yo,
Yeah.
I'm the parent. My job is
Yeah.
to protect my child. Like, come
Yeah.
on. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
what's interesting is even when my own family would say to one of my children, "Why aren't you helping your mom when we're walking
Mm-hmm.
somewhere?" And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "You think I'm going to ask, like we were talking about 6-year-olds who
Yeah.
don't pay attention. You think
Right.
I'm going to ask a 6-year-old to leave me anywhere? They don't
Right.
watch where they're walking."
right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm better off up on my own. So I'm
Oh,
sorry.
seriously.
Oh, that's a
and
good one
and
though.
it's real crazy how people really have that stereotype because like me and my wife are both blind and she has a son that's 14 and he can see. And then with the two youngest ones, every time we go to the daycare, the director at the daycare is, oh, well, when you get him dressed in the morning, or, oh, when you get home, fill this out for me. It's like everything is addressed to him. Like,
Yeah.
he has
another
any say
child.
so on
Yep.
anything, and he's just, oh, you're taking care of your brother and your sister and your blind parents. Oh, God bless
Wow.
you. You're
Yeah.
so sweet.
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
That's that is so frustrating. That is so frustrating. They're like, what am I, chopped liver?
Yeah.
No, I got
Right.
this. I got this.
Right.
And it also
There,
adds a pressure to the children in a way.
Yeah.
I noticed,
It does.
when I
Yeah.
lost my sight, because I was very, I had 20/20 vision. It was very instant when this happened. And so my youngest son, it affected him a whole lot, because people say, oh, your mother needs you. And he said that.
Yeah.
What do you
That
mean?
pressure.
Right.
Yes.
So it added a pressure. And I would have to constantly say to the children, listen, I'm the mama. You're the child. I take care of you. You don't take care of me. So we had to get that established in the house right away after I lost my sight. So, it's not just, it was annoying for me, but more of, I really had to kind of protect them.
Yeah.
Because because with having boys, they think they have to be the protectors, right?
Yeah.
And at 7, how's he going to protect me?
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good point. And not only that, though, I work because I also went blind at 30, and I had 4 children at the time. I had 1 child when I was blind, but the 4 children, it was important for me to show them that I can take it. I still wash your clothes. I still cook your dinners. I do what the mom is supposed to do.
Right.
Now, at some point, yes, you guys doing chores and you have to do this, and I might send you to go run upstairs and get stuff for me, but that's not a blind thing. That's a parent thing.
Right.
That's because it's not, I made sure I didn't put that extra guilt on them, for my guilt, I should say, it's not my kid's fault that I went blind. No, it's not, but I'm blind. It's their life. Now we have to make it the best that it is. But I didn't want them to think that because I'm blind, now they have to do extra to take care of their blind mom.
Right.
exactly.
It's so funny that you say that, too, about how people think that the kids have to take care of us instead of vice versa. I mean, and it's like, granted, we might have to ask some questions sometimes, like, what color is this? What color is that?
Yeah.
But that's no different from a sighted parent saying, hey, come
Exactly.
here, hand me that remote, and you had to come from the other end of the house.
Right.
Yes,
indeed.
exactly.
Yes, indeed.
That's so true. Daniel, what did you want to say?
I grew up with high expectations from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And when my son was 6 months old, my mother told me that, well, I knew what kind of expectations she has for me, for my professional life, for my life in general. But she told me that she never imagined me having a family. For whatever reason, it hadn't clicked in her mind that I was going to grow up, get married, have my house, have children. And it wasn't because she didn't want me to have a family. It just hadn't clicked.
Yeah.
She hadn't expect that from me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So when I got married and I had children, her expectation of me is that I'm gonna be a responsible father.
Yeah.
And I'm proving that to her, and I need to put my foot down when I'm with my family,
Yes.
extended family, my mother-in-law, especially, and she understands that they're my children and they're my responsibility.
Yes.
So
No.
she tells my son, right, go ask your dad for permission or anything like that. She respects me because I've proven to her that I'm independent and they're safe with me.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. That's
That
what
is
it's
a good
about.
point.
Yes.
Jennifer, did you have something?
Yes, actually. Mine's a little bit different. So I have albinism. So me and my kids do not look alike. And I've had many people come up to me in front of my children and be like, oh, you're adopted, or they're not yours. And it's just like that just starts a whole
Wow.
mess with them. It's just like, okay, you don't know what's going on here. And for a complete stranger, I can understand. but don't go up to my kids and just tell them they're adopted. I mean, they get enough of
Right.
that
Oh,
at
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
So I'm actually, when I first had the girls, I was a single parent. And when I got with their now stepdad, he is an African American male. And so there was a lot of conversation had behind my back, especially with the other kids at the school and things like that. It's just like, you're not adopted. You're not adopted. You're not adopted. I promise you. So, I mean, it was just kind of one of those things that
Yeah. Ignorance. It's
Yeah.
ignorance
ignorance. And it's
again.
Yeah.
just like, I keep
Hmm.
having to remind my daughter, I promise you. She
Yeah.
goes, well, you don't look like me. I'm like, I know I don't look like you, but, and I had to
Hmm.
go ahead and explain genetics. But as a little kid, when they were in preschool, that used to really hurt their feelings. They would come home crying sometimes because somebody would say something to them. I've even had Uber drivers overstep and say that to them to their
Ugh.
face.
oh.
And
Yeah.
that brings on a whole nother issue about I don't know how
Yeah.
Uber with
Yeah.
kids and everybody is doing with that one.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. The thing about that is we talk about people being ignorant and they just don't know and we have to educate and advocate and do all that stuff.
Hmm.
But some stuff like what you're talking about, that's just plain ignorance. And it's hard to educate. That's not even a blind education thing. That's a
Mm-mm.
humanity
Yeah, because
educating thing.
Exactly.
you don't walk up to any one child and
Yeah.
just talk about,
Sighted or blind,
their
period.
foundation like
Yeah.
that. That's just completely
Yeah.
wrong. That's
So,
unhumane right
Well,
there.
I think
yeah.
there's an ignorance due to a lack of experience, but then there's also ignorance due to a lack of thought and consideration,
Yeah.
There
right?
we
And
go.
so you're
That's true.
that sounds like a little bit more like just maybe stop and think and observe a little bit before you talk, kind
Yeah,
of
before you
ignorance.
Right.
speak, yeah.
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 It-
Where's those standards? 60 times. I will not talk.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Now that's where that punishment might come
Right,
in.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, some
But
of the
then
adults need that.
yes.
Yeah.
Daniel brought up a good point though, and I wanted to talk about that. And this has happened to me as a grandmother, okay, because I have young children. And he brought up the part of thing about others that are sighted respecting. Like he said, his mother, they respect him as the father, right?
Mhm.
I have gone through things where my sons, at the time, his wife and her mother, they were uncomfortable leaving their children with me,
Hmm.
Ooh.
and I was set to go or just to watch them. She was going to work and I was set to take a trip and stuff. And so the daughter-in-law at the time, she calls me and says, "Hey, do you mind if my mom comes with you?" Because she wanted to go to the mall and do some shopping. And I'm like, I told the mom last night I was going to the mall today. She didn't ask to go with me then. But after I told my daughter-in-law that I was taking the kids with me, then now she wants to go. And come to find out it was because they did not trust me as a blind parent to have them. And I will tell you guys, that really hurt. It hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt because I've raised 5 kids now. And then this is blind, right? I've been blind 20 years. And so when I told my son about it, and this goes to show our children and what they see in us, right? And my son told his wife, I trust my mom with my child alone more than I trust you with my child alone. And that kind of that made me feel good a little bit, because he was
Those are
like,
big words. That's a big
it,
statement.
it was. And so even though that did hurt me, I felt that, it wasn't my son, because my son knows me. He's seen me. He's, seen what I've
He
did.
was raised by you.
And when
Exactly.
we were talking about, people not knowing, I was the first blind person she's ever met too. And maybe she just didn't know and didn't feel comfortable. And I get that, but it still hurt a little bit. So do you guys feel like, outsiders of your family or of your dynamics would kind of look at you differently, or don't think that you are capable or can take care of your children, or have some hesitation or concerns about that?
I've been really fortunate that, and maybe it's my big mouth, I don't know, that I haven't had that problem. I've probably had more issue of, don't bring them to my house, kind of,
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
whatever. I
Mhm.
can't take them all with me this time, or
Yeah.
something. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
I think
so that's good.
advocating for myself, and then I guess my family watching me
Yeah.
do the things that I've done. So they
Mhm.
think I'm Superwoman. So thankfully I've had that experience.
Yeah.
More, it was funny though. My youngest son just got married, and so the in-laws, were like, poor, for my daughter-in-law, like, poor you, you're gonna have to take care of his mother,
Oh, oh
kind
yeah.
of, blah blah blah. And so when she met me, she's like, so are you gonna live with us? And I thought, girl, please, no.
Yeah.
I have my own house. Please,
Yeah.
y'all go away. I've been waiting for this time,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So, and so now when they see me, they're like, oh, okay, things are different. So
Yeah, they see it.
unfortunately, I haven't had to deal with that issue. And I heard Joseph say he helped raise other people's kids. I've raised neighborhood. I work a lot in the community, and so parents would put their children out, and they'd come to my house.
Yeah.
And
well, good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
and
It just
the parent
depends.
would
Yeah.
meet me and go, so this is where they've been living. Yes, this is where your kid's been living. I've been taking care of your kid, and stuff.
Right.
So I've had a little
Yeah.
bit different experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had
Nice.
similar experiences too. We tend to be the house that everybody's kids end up at. And, I always thought when my kids were little that we would face a lot of that, not, people not letting their kids play at our house or whatever. And there may have been a few, none that really stand out in my mind too much, but most of the time, the neighborhood kids are all at our house. I've had uh, teenagers, young adults actually live with us for a time. We have an exchange student right now. We had no issues getting an exchange student, and we are both visually impaired. I'm totally blind, and Tyler's pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also did daycare in my home for years. I have run the church nursery at two different churches now and helped in daycare centers. And, it's a mixed bag, really. I mean, there are definitely people out there who do not trust us with children, but there are plenty who do. And so I just, take that as a positive. We do have one grandchild, but she's very, very young and pretty much never leaves her mom and dad at this point. So
Yeah.
I can't say how that will go.
Yeah. Right.
I would hope that they would trust us, but
Yeah.
we haven't gotten there yet. So I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Well, that is a good one because I will just share this with you guys. My mother, and I've been blind 20 years and she knows that I'm blind. She made a comment and I was supposed to watch my grandchild, and my daughter, my 17-year-old was leaving, and my mother says, where are you going? She was like, my daughter says, oh, I'm going to my friend's house. She was like, you can't leave your mom here by herself with them. And
Oh.
again, that hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurt too. Because
It's
I'm
almost
like,
like they forget, they
Yes.
forget all those things that you did,
yes, right. Exactly. Yes. So
My children are still alive, so I guess
yeah,
it's okay.
I didn't do
Right.
too bad.
Right. That's what
Yes.
they like Tyler said, they tend to forget, and they're not paying attention to the moment now. The kids are surviving, they're a good citizen, like all this good jazz, like we've raised up, some good adults, and just like, okay, how can you not forget the time and the work that I put in with these children?
But just for our listeners, guys, I will tell, and you guys, you can, let me know but just like in the workplace, right? We work extra harder to make sure our work and employment we're doing right, and in the home we make sure that our kids are safe and right. We pay extra attention to those things. We work hard to make sure, because we know we have to adapt. There was one point, my 2-year-old, I put bells on her because she kept hiding from me.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there are things that we put in place as BVI parents to make sure that we're just as good as parents as everybody else. We just make things a little bit differently. We do things different. How many times I've changed a pamper and had crap all on my hands because I was not gonna close that diaper until I made sure that butt didn't have no poop on it.
Right.
Yep.
Like, oh
How
my
many
goodness.
times I put my nose and accidentally done touched some stuff with my nose tip because I had to make sure they were clean. But that's okay. Those are the things that I do. My child's clean.
Right.
Exactly. And it's funny you bring
And
that
it,
up because I had the incident where I was taking my little man, he was 6 at the time, to the park. And he was trying to do that whole let's play hide and seek. I'm like, you know what, baby, this is a lot of people out here.
Yeah.
We're gonna put this little bell on you, you know, and we're gonna try to play this in a much of a safe fashion. And you know, I heard a couple of parents out there, they just kind of looking at me and listening to me, run with them, and you know, kind of, hey, where you at? And he kind of, yeah, I hear the bell, so I go chase it. It's like, oh my God, he's really. I'm like, yo, it's what I have to modify with. It's what I have to do. I'm just gonna keep him in the house and just not be able to do anything. The young man wanted to go to the park. He wanted to see outside and enjoy nature. So, you know, hey, we have to figure out the best way to let's you know, make this happen and do this in the safest way possible. You know, dealing with our condition. And you know, so that's cool that you even brought that up like that.
Yeah. Anybody else
and
want to
and
add?
that is a very good point that you hit on about modifications, because I was going to answer both questions. Um, my situation is a little interesting because I had a son that was a preemie. So he spent like 2 months in the hospital. Like I said, me and my wife are both totally blind. And, you know, going into a hospital setting, there are so many people that you hear about that lose their kids because they didn't do something right, or somebody perceived them a certain way. And I kept trying to explain to my wife, like, we have to be on our A game because the whole time he's in this hospital, they're looking for us not to do something right so that he doesn't have to go home with us. And it was so, the feedback that we got from those nurses and doctors was just so amazing. They was like, you guys are here 3, 4, 5 times a day. You spend the night. They was like, some of these parents that can see, we see them once a week. Like they basically dumped their kids off on us and was like, oh, they got nurses. We don't have to go up there. But you guys are up here hands on, and like with the modification part, like I was cleaning my son while he was in the hospital, and the nurse was standing. She's like, he's clean. I was like, he may be clean, but guess what? When I get at home, I won't have you to stand over my shoulder and tell me that. So I have to do the extra wiping to make sure that I have everything, because I'm not going to have eyes to tell me, oh, his nose is clean. Oh, his butt is clean. So I got to go that extra mile to make sure that I don't leave anything behind by whatever means necessary, so that he doesn't go out anywhere and people be like, oh, your poor mama and daddy, they can't even clean your butt right.
Yep, we
Yes,
had one in
indeed.
the NICU and we did the same thing. We you know, from day one I was like, where's his stuff? You know, where's her stuff? What are we using for this? What, you know, whatever. And I would just take her out of the bassinet by myself. She's all hooked up to wires and everything. And the nurses are gasping and oh my gosh. And I'm like, we're fine.
We
You
got
know,
this. Yeah, I got this. I
and we
got
were.
this.
And they even told me like to put her on formula if I wanted to take her home soon. I said, nope, I'm gonna nurse her. I'm gonna pump. She'll have bottles when I'm not here. And I was there constantly. You know, I left my room. The nurses were yelling at me. They wanted me in bed. I said, I'm not staying in bed. I'm going to the NICU.
Yeah. You
As you
know,
should.
kudos to you guys, but you know what? This is the crazy part about this, right? You guys were there, you know, both you guys were with their children, and sighted people, as you said, Rodriguez, they, you know, you see them once a week. But let me tell you, if you guys did that, what those sighted people do or will see them once a week, oh, all hell would break loose. You guys would be the worst parents ever.
Right.
You guys would be, because that like he said, they're looking for us to fail. They expect us to fail.
They would find an illegitimate reason to call CPS.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, it's something that you'd say that brings up a little bit of a subject. When I lost my sight, my oldest son was 15. And because I lost my sight, his father put me through a custody battle.
Yeah. So, I can see that too.
You know, I had to prove that I could take care of this child. I took care of all of his life.
Yeah, well, because that's crazy, because he's 15. I mean, he technically can take care of himself, really.
Exactly.
I mean,
and so I did lose. His became the full custodial parent.
Yeah.
Even though I had him all of his life, right?
Yeah.
So I had just lost my sight, and I went through that. It was so tough
Right.
for him to be taken out of the house at that time. It was devastating to his youngest brother.
Yeah.
And but we managed, and I think afterward his father figured out what he did and wanted him to come back home.
Yeah.
But it was just, but initially it was heartbreaking. It was
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
to go through that, you know,
On top of going blind,
on
right?
top
And
of
now
going
you
blind.
get your
Yes,
child stripped away from you. Yeah. That,
exactly.
yeah.
You know, so yeah,
Yeah.
that was so crazy. So he has children now. He's like, so mom, when are you gonna take him for the summer? You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
you know, but yeah, but that was tough. I don't know if anybody. It doesn't sound like any of you guys have had to go through that.
Well, that's actually I was gonna that makes me bring up a question, and I want to ask to the group, like, so what, what unique challenges have any of you guys had to face as a parent? Like, not even dealing with the blindness. I mean, we can add the blindness in there as well, but as we said in the beginning, we're parents that just happen to be blind, and I feel a lot of parents go through different challenges throughout the different stages of the childhood. So I'm curious about you guys. Have any of you had faced some unique challenges that y'all would like to share?
People just doing too much. Like I do a lot of traveling with sports and stuff, and like when I go, I take my son with me, and I have you'd be amazed at how many people that think that it's okay to take car seats out of your hand and want to carry your kids. And I was on a plane, and the lady was like, "Oh, well, I can hold your son, lady. You got a better chance at me letting you hold my guide dog than holding my kids."
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because well, you're a blind man. You can't carry that car seat. That's that's what in their mind, that's what they're thinking, right? He's blind. He can't carry a car seat, which is absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like I'm 6'2", like 290, and it's usually like the little flight attendants. You're like 5'3", 104 pounds, but you want to carry my 30-pound son in a car seat. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why
Right.
you have to politely say, I have this. Thank you so much, but I'm the parent. You can hold this cane.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
going to sit down with my child. Thank you.
And let me get your shoulder. You take the cane and give me your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I've done that many times. Like, you know what? If you really want to help this way, I'm going to hold my child because I have the strength and I have this. You go ahead, just hold this cane, and we're just going to walk like this, and it's going to be fine.
Yes. All right. Anybody else have any
Yes.
unique challenges? Go ahead, Daniel.
Today I was walking towards my van with my son, and I held his son, his 3, and while walking down the sidewalk, in playing, he threw himself to the ground. He thinks he's Spider-Man, so he was trying to do a flip, and I was almost gonna flip over with him, but I need to be holding his hand because in the parking lot there's a lot of cars coming and going, and I'm not gonna let go of him.
Right.
In fact, most of the time I carry him from the door to the van, especially because there's a park here in the apartments. So sometimes he does want to run over there and play when it's not time to go and play. So it's easier to carry him and take him to the van. So I've been thinking of bringing out the backpack leash.
Yeah, the leash thing.
I
Those are
used it.
amazing.
I've
Yeah.
used it before, but for one reason or another, I haven't used it for a year or two, and it's gonna have to come up because,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't want him running,
Well, because what do you do, you guys? If I mean, I just think about if we're standing there and they take off and it's just me and my 3-year-old and they take off. I mean, what do we do?
Well, my kids
So how does
always
the
have
leash
bells
work?
at
Because I
that
got a
age.
young grandbaby, and I was trying to think about that. I'm getting ready to go and visit. My nephew's son actually has 2 young kids, and I'm thinking, okay, now how am I going to, walk with them, whatever. So you said a leash. So you just
It's
put
a
it around the
backpack.
waist or what?
No, it's a backpack and it has a string on it. like
Oh,
a tether on it.
We
And then,
might call it a harness
yeah.
in the
Yeah. Oh,
store.
Yeah.
And they make them adorable too. They're
Yeah.
little like
little,
monkeys and
yeah, little,
pandas
yeah,
and
like
stuff.
little
oh,
stuff.
okay.
They are very
Yeah.
cute.
But
That's
I will tell you guys, when I was sighted and I used to see that, I used to think it was cruel. I
So
am not lying.
when my girls were little, I had two under two and I was a single parent, so it was insane. So
Yeah.
both of my girls would wear one, but instead of holding them by the handle of the leash, I would just slip it around my wrist and make them hold my hand. That way, if there was a second
Just in case they
that I
take off.
had to
Yeah.
let go of their hand for some reason or another to grab something at the store, they weren't going to be gone from my sight.
Well,
So
no, I will tell you now, I've changed my tune on that. I see the complete purpose, but just being sighted, but I just didn't like, I was just like, that's messed up. They have their child on a leash like they're a dog. I used to think, I swear, I used to think that. And
I thought that too.
yeah. And
Georgia,
so but going blind and having a child, and even after going blind, I'm like, I could have used this when I was sighted too. Like I see the complete purpose of it. Even getting out the car, as a
Mhm.
sighted parent, I have gotten out my car and just put one kid, because I had four young kids, and put one down right by the car, stay right there. And as I'm reaching in to get the other one out the car, one of my kids took off, and I'm sighted. So I'm like, oh yeah, no, I could see now how those leash, I guess we should call it something else. It's probably because it's called a leash. I don't
It's
like
a
that.
Harness.
Oh, the
Yeah, the
harness.
harness.
Hardest,
The
Yeah.
safety harness.
Right. The
And
safety.
they're sold in the
safety.
store, so obviously
Yeah.
they're meant for everybody, not
Exactly.
not
Right.
right.
just for
Not,
blind
it's not
Exactly.
for
parents.
us.
Exactly. And that's what and that's when I seen them first. But
Yeah.
for some reason, my mind thought differently when I was a sighted person, and so I look at things in a whole new light as a blind person, because I guess I see, but when I seen that, I'm like, oh gosh, that's messed up. But now get a leash, get those bells, get anything that will help us.
Well, yeah,
Please.
you learn, right? You learn
Yeah.
over time. And one of the things that I think Leanne and I decided very much from square one was like, we were going to do whatever we needed to number one, keep our kids safe, but number two, make sure they had the full experience. Joseph, you're talking about taking your guy to the park and putting bells on him and chasing around. Totally vibe with that, right? Like that is the kind of stuff that we would do. We're travelers. We get out, we go places, we have experiences with our kids.
Took kids to Disney World.
Yeah, and that, I was going to bring that up too. So, when our two oldest ones were very young, so our boy was 5, and then our daughter would have been 2 at the time.
I think she was less than 2, but yeah.
We went to Disney with the two, so just my wife and I, us two blind people and the 2 little kids. We went to
Wow.
Disney.
That's
We
brave. Brave.
well, and what we didn't think this through very, very well. We
Mhm.
went between Christmas and New Year's.
Wow.
Mm,
It
Yeah.
was wall to wall people. Like it
Yeah.
was nuts. So
Yeah.
yeah.
so it was like I had the child in the stroller, and when we walk around with a stroller, we always pull the stroller behind us. So
Behind
it's
us, yeah. Mhm.
cane in front, child behind, and then our son had a harness on, so we were always attached, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but we had such a great time, and
Yeah.
we did what we needed to do to stay safe and stay together, and
Yeah.
I think we had so many people come up to us like, I can't believe you guys are doing this. This is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
we're having a hard time and we all have sight and it's this.
Yeah.
But there may have been a few people like, man, I can't believe they have that kid on a harness. Like, don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
care.
Don't
You all
care.
say what you
Right.
want to say.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're doing what you need to do for the children experience, and then to keep it safe and just have a beautiful time, and that's what it's about. And I
I
feel that's
still
what a
think
lot
that's
of us. Yeah,
awesome.
that's
Wow,
That's awesome.
that makes me
Yes.
feel so good, because I want to take my grandkids and I want to dump them to parents, right?
Yeah.
So it's possible.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and that's what we
I
want the
love
listeners
it.
community to know, that it's all that we do is possible. It's possible to be the parents that we are, and it's possible for us to allow our children to experience that. That childhood that everyone's talking about, like that American dream in a way. They get to experience theme parks, the park, socialize with kids, and
Yeah.
I've ran into a lot of parents, just And they'd be like, so do you let your child go play or whatnot? I'm like, yeah, why not? Like,
Yeah.
why would I
What am
hold
I
them
supposed to keep
back?
them in the house?
Like,
Yeah.
because I have this condition, so I just supposed to hold them back because I can't see. Like, no, we don't put that on our children.
I
Right.
have a question for you guys because we know we are in a technology days, right? I mean, technology is everything. Do
Mhm.
any of you use any assistive technology or devices or anything to as part of your parenting or to assist you in your day-to-day activities with your children?
So I
Yes.
will be completely honest. We recently changed our internet provider.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually have a Samsung phone. So we're able to actually access all the internet. And like I told you, I have two tween girls in my house,
Mm-hmm.
and they will find a way to access something from somewhere.
Mm.
But I love this because it just tells me everything that's on, everything that's connected. And it's like, okay,
Yes.
you're not getting on anything. You're off. You're off. It's
And
like
I'll
the
turn it
magic.
off.
I will
Yeah.
turn it off. And
Yeah.
it's amazing because unfortunately we are in a technology driven world,
Yes.
and these kids are more experienced than we are. And I'm a
Yes.
millennial, so I got to see it all. But um yeah, they'll try to outsmart me with it. But what I love about it is just like I can just turn it off and they're
Yeah.
done. So that's one thing. Um, Another thing that we also do in our house as well is just like my daughters are set up with Chromebooks at school. So, like I said, I have a daughter that has ADHD. So, one of the things that she has to do because she will forget homework is she has to email a spreadsheet to me every single day. So I
Mm.
know what's missing because I can't read her stuff that she brings home in her backpack. I don't know if it's done. I don't know if it's graded. I'm at a loss and I can ask her about it all day long, but unless it's written out on the spreadsheet or the grade book where I can actually read it on large print, then it ain't happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're quicker to
Yeah.
say, "Yeah, no, I had a good day. No homework. Everything's fine." Like, yeah, no, let's keep up with the schedule. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
That
it's
makes it.
interesting that you say that about the spreadsheet and the homework because I wanted to touch on that too as being a blind parent and having kids in school and just how do you communicate with the teacher to set your child up for success? Because like you say, you have a lot of kids that say, "Oh, I did this, oh, I did that," but what I'm noticing now are some of these teachers are so impersonal. Like, it's not like when we were in school, you could call the teacher will call you, you could go up to the school. Like, everything is so restricted now for everybody, not just blind parents. How do you do with communication as far as written uh stuff for your kids?
I will tell you exactly what I did and still do
Mhm.
because of technology, right? Number one,
Right.
in elementary school, on the first day of school, or even before, as soon as I know when the teacher's name, I email the teacher right away. And I
Right.
let them know that I am, this is my child. I am their mother. I am blind. I don't even say visually impaired. Let's not get it confused because I have no sight. I am totally blind. And my method of communication is email. I will need you
Right.
to email me. If you have any concerns, problems, questions, you need to email me, please. If there is any documents that are imperative that I sign or need to return, I need that in an email. I cannot trust a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old to come and
Hmm.
say, "Here, mommy, here's the paper you need to sign." No,
Right.
that needs to be emailed to me. As my daughter got older and times got more advanced, there is a parent portal online.
Right.
And I
Mhm.
I create the account and I have every year I have her classes, her schedule. I have all of the every single email, because in high school there's more than one teacher. So now we're dealing with different people that I have to email and tell them I am a blind parent and this I need communicated via email and in this kind of so there that way my daughter knows too. I'm still an active parent in school. I still am going to stay on you. I am still going to make sure that you are, academically staying on track because I will pull that up and check grades, all of that stuff. And so I think as, when we talk about advocacy, right? And advocating. And I think that is one of the main things when my kids were in school is me advocating for myself as a parent of a child in this school and in your classroom. I need you to know that, hey, I'm an active parent. I will come and sit in your classroom. I've done papers where I had to put together packets and staple. I've actually volunteered in the classrooms as a blind parent. But here's the thing: those parents, those teachers, I'm sorry, would not know that I could do all this if I've never said anything. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to call me and say, "Hey, can you come and help out in the classroom today?" No, because
Right.
why? She's blind and she can't do anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's all about you taking that step to make sure that your teachers know, yes, I am blind, but I am an active parent and I need to stay informed and all that good stuff too. So it is doable, and you can do it. And hey, and when you go up there with your older child and that teacher is talking to that older child instead of you, excuse me, no ma'am, you're going to speak to me, please. It's I'm the parent, and I'm the one that any of these concerns and issues need to be addressed to, not to
Exactly.
my sighted person next to me.
And what I
Yeah.
loved about, to your point, Victoria, emailing was amazing. The parent portal was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Showing up was even better.
Yeah.
Parent teacher night, you show,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
all the
Mhm.
different, the PTA meetings. Oh, we're showing up.
Was
Yeah.
there?
As the more
Mhm.
people see you,
Mhm.
then the more that they know. Like Victoria said, I'm an active parent, I'm a
Mhm.
concerned parent, and I
Mhm.
am, even though I'm blind, I'm still the parent.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
had a
Mhm.
nephew son. It was so funny that he was cutting up. Oh, he was cutting up so much, and they were emailing me, and I'm like, okay. So I decided, well, it's time to go to school. I packed my lunch,
Mhm.
and
Sat at the school.
and he was in high school, right? So they're totally embarrassed.
Yeah.
He's got to drag me around with my
Yeah.
cane all day. Each class, and I'm having a ball in high school.
Yeah.
And
Right.
everything, but it changed some, it changed his behavior, thank
Yeah.
God,
Yeah. He don't want
right?
your
Yeah.
He
blind
did
butt
not want
coming
me
up
coming
there
back to that
again.
school
Yeah.
the next day. I'm like, I'm coming back tomorrow for history class. He's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just showing up, being visible, then yeah, I
Yeah.
think that really, really helped.
Well, and
And on
it's
top of
okay
that,
to speak up too and
yeah.
let them know that you want your rights as a parent. There's a
There
lot
we
of
go.
times that they
Mhm.
might tell you, well, you don't
Mhm.
have to do that. But I'll step in
Mhm.
and I'll just say, but I'm going to do that.
There
My
we
Right.
child
go.
Yep.
expects
Yes.
it and I expect it, and I'm going to be
Mhm.
there. I had parents tell me I didn't have to sign up in a co-op preschool. They said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We got it all covered." I said, "No, I'm taking my 2 days just like everybody else,
Everybody
and I
else.
will be
Yes.
there."
Yes.
Yes.
So you
Absolutely.
sometimes have to be assertive, get in there and let them know
Yeah.
what you're going to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. I
Mhm.
love that approach because that's how I feel. I like to. I call it a little old fashioned, but technology is cool, but it's nothing like when you just step into the campus, and step on their premises and just let the principal, the administrator, from the teachers know, like, hey, I'm here. I even go greet myself to the nurse, like, how you doing,
Mhm.
nurse? If there's any, you have any issue, anything going on, here's my number, here's the work number, here's the email.
Yeah.
Like I'm dropping cards off and letting them know, like, I'm
Yeah.
truly here. This is very important to me, and I need you to understand this is my child. So, hey,
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do unless you're gonna have me back up here every day.
And just
Exactly.
in case you do get that backpack full of papers, because I still do. I mean, even though they might be those PTA invite papers and stuff that or the fundraisers, I don't expect the teachers to email those to me, right? Because they're not.
Mhm.
That's not.
Right.
But I will take that thing and take. Now I can take a picture, but I had a Pearl Cam scanner, open book, and so
Mm-hmm.
I would scan my documents and make sure I did that once a week just to clear out the backpack to make sure I got all of in case there was something that slipped or something that I might have wanted to do or PTA fundraiser. Okay, well, let's participate.
Shoot, even
Yeah.
further, I've scanned a whole workbook just to keep up with the, what I'm saying, with their little work schedule.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, I got this on my schedule. Did you do this worksheet here?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get to this worksheet. I got you,
Yeah.
man. No,
Mhm.
no problem at all.
Mm-hmm.
I go that far. We're gonna scan the workbooks, the textbooks, whatever you have that not electronically or I can't format it. Oh, trust and believe, I have devices to make that happen.
I think Rodriguez, another thing too is to make important is your kids. Your kids need to know that daddy don't play. Because if they feel that they can get over on you and not show you that letter or not show you that, then you know what, that's what's going to happen. So when you take those papers and you scan them and you do what you do, or you email that teacher once a week just to do a check-in, your kids are going to know, okay, well, I can't get over, because kids are going to try us, right? They're going to try what they can try, and they're going to test us. But if you do it right, they're only going to test you with that situation once.
Right.
That's one
Okay.
question I get all the time. Don't your kids try stuff on you
Right.
because they know you can't see?
Yes.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
kids do that to their parents.
Yes,
yeah.
excited parents do, but
Hello.
yes, yeah, but
Hello.
they do try me, but they're only going to try it once if I handle it correctly.
I tell them I have eyes in the back of my head that work just fine. So,
Oh,
Exactly.
But
beautiful.
you know what my daughter used to say, because I would say, go and pick that up. I thought you couldn't see. I said, you know what? Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. I don't know
right.
when I can see. I don't know when I can. So you just think that I can't see if you want to, but
Yep.
Right.
you know,
Right.
And that's
so
what this is about. You know, we're trying to
yes,
let everybody know a child is a child and we are parents.
And
Everybody
yes.
goes through it, and
Right.
that's what it is.
Does any of you want to bring up anything that you would like to get some input from any of the other parents on that are on the call?
Yeah, I'm curious. Maybe I'm trying to think of somebody maybe listening to this podcast. Maybe
Mhm.
they're a newly blind parent or just kind of curious about that. Like we talked about putting bells on shoes, right? That's
Mhm.
a lot of I've heard a lot of blind parents doing that. We've talked about using a harness. Yeah, I mentioned like when we go for walks, we pull the stroller backwards behind us,
Hmm.
and so what are some of the other modifications that are out there that blind parents might use? Because again, the goal is just keep the kids safe, keep them functional, give them that full experience. But there's a few different techniques to it, right? And what are some
Right.
of those that y'all have implemented, maybe that are could be useful for somebody? Would be my question.
I have a boy who likes to watch TV while he's playing, and sometimes he goes quiet, even with the bells on. So I use an app that has AI recognition. I took a picture of the living room, and sure enough, there's a boy in front of a television holding an apple.
Nice.
So,
Real nice. Yes.
especially when I don't want to interrupt him, and
Mhm.
I'm okay if he's watching TV or playing, the AI app's gonna tell me more or less what you're doing.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
like that. I like that.
Yes. Rodriguez, you had something?
Yeah, one of the things that my wife got me is it's called a dad bag, and it's for kids that are like younger, when you go
Mhm.
out like, 2, 3. And basically they sit in it, and you can keep them close to you, and it's got a spot for like wipes, diapers, bottles, so on and so forth. But it
Oh,
came real
wow.
handy for me with my son, because like you
Yeah.
really can be hands free and use your cane or pull a buggy or do whatever, but you can have your child close to where, I mean, they would almost have to break you in half to snatch your child. And I found that for me being a new parent with a young kid, that was so beneficial to me because it made me feel secure knowing that his head is right up under my chin at all times and I can still
Mm.
maneuver
Yeah.
because I'm hands free.
Yeah.
A
That's a
dag
good
bag.
one.
I like that.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done a lot of child wearing for all ages, all
Yeah.
from babies all the way up to 4 or 5 years old. Yeah, we
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Yeah, the number of people we would come across, three kids marching around with us, and one being pulled in the stroller, another one on a backpack, another one's up on my shoulders, and people like, we see you guys walking around town all the time. Like, yeah, we look like a walking circus, like,
Yeah.
Proud of it. That's all right.
but it's all
Hey,
good.
all good. Yes,
One thing
indeed.
I do want to speak on is about feeding, and this is for new parents, right? Because
Mm.
my daughter was I had her blind, and of course I was like, how the heck, I raised 4 kids, right? But I've never
Mm-hmm.
raised a kid blind, and all of those kids went to school. And so it's just me and my daughter there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to feed my child? Right. And so I was like, you know what? I don't think I can kill her by trying to feed. She was a hot mess. I'm telling you, I had applesauce and hair. I had
Right.
stuff everywhere, but she ate. We had fun. And, it was even, I used to put my hand over her eye because I didn't want to stab her with the spoon in the eye. So I did that. Now she was messy, but guess what? When we were done, I picked her up, put her butt in the sink, cleaned her up, and we were good to go. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
people were so afraid of, how do you feed your child? How do you feed? I feed her just fine. We got this. But I would tell you this, I was so happy when it was time for her to do those finger foods, right? Because then I just
Oh,
put them
yeah.
in the high chair and but as a baby, she got fed. But it was messy sometimes, and that's okay because there's nothing that you can't clean up. So
Right.
that's a tip for us the newly blind parents that are, there's fears. We all have those fears of how are we going to take care of a child all by ourselves as a blind parent. It's very seldom. And the other thing about babies falling off the bed, I just want to bring that one up too. Um, I had a child and I was sighted, and my son, which is probably what's wrong with him to this day, fell off the bed like 20 times over and over again, right? It's always flying off the bed. My daughter that I had as a blind, she never fell off the bed. But guess what? Even if she did, it wouldn't have been the end of the world because kids fall off the bed, right? But
Right.
I think that was, one of the biggest concerns. There's things that we try to prevent that happen all the time as for sighted parents. It's just part of being a parent, period. And I don't think we should be extra hard on ourselves. I was a lot nicer back then. So when when this son did fall off the bed, I mean, I was in tears. Like it was the end of the world for me, right? Because, oh my God, my child fell off the bed and all that. But the thing is, we cannot prevent things. And we try to be as safe as possible, but sometimes things can happen. And I don't want us as blind parents to think that we are bad parents because these things happen. So
Right. That's a good
I
point.
wish you had told me that 9 months ago, because I know my son fell off the bed, and I cried harder than he did because it
I
was
know.
like the worst experience ever.
Yes,
And my wife
it
was
is.
like, he's okay. And it's like, no, he fell off the
Yeah,
bed.
he did. Yes, I mean it happens, and that's one of those things, and it happens to sighted people all the time, and it's
Right.
okay. And I mean, he's the thing is, I think the more problem would be maybe if they break an arm or fall the wrong way or something like that. But these kids are very resilient, right? They bounce back and things happen. And how many times do kids go outside and fall and scrape their knees and do all that stuff? So these things they have their kids. These
Yeah.
things happen.
And with that being said, like for me, just as the parent wise, going out and about, I'm pretty much I'm taking double of everything. I'm not taking a double bag, but I'm probably got double wipes, I got double bottles, and double pacifier just in case. Sometimes
Yeah.
moments happen. I like to call them blind people problems. You drop something you didn't know. Okay,
Right.
I'm not about to panic. I'm not about to, oh my God, I can't find this. And because you put that energy on your child as well. So it's like, nah, I got another one. Here we go. Let's pull this one out. Boom. Let's just keep it rolling. So I always feel like that always helped me out. I always just have a spare.
Yeah, we learn
Yeah.
to be over prepared for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And I do love
Absolutely.
pacifier clips. I have to say that. If
Oh
Oh
you
yeah,
can
yes,
those
maybe
things are
that
wonderful.
was like the
Yes.
best
attach
creation
everything.
ever. Yes,
Yes.
that was. I loved him too. So awesome. Well, does anybody else have anything? Because I think this has been a great discussion, and
I think
I
so.
just you guys have been great. I
I do want to
appreciate
touch
you.
on one thing
Go
Okay.
ahead.
that I think is a big concern for a lot of people. House proofing for babies, because I've had a lot of people that have questioned like certain things that we've done as far as just house proofing. Because I got the plug caps and the baby gates and the
Oh,
this
as
and
you
the that and
should.
the third.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's a
Oh.
lot of people that they're like, "Oh, you didn't do enough," and if you can't see, how do you do this and how do you do that? And it's like simple. If you're in the house with a child and they get quiet, you find them and find out what they're doing.
Amen.
Because
Yeah.
even people
Right.
with sighted kids, their kids get into stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. That's where you do the best you can do and tell them to just mind the business.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Well, that's where because I want to go to our table experts at the moment, because that would be, to me, Leanne and Tyler, because they have their army over there, right? And then they have, she's done daycare. So what are some tips that you guys have for that? Like what is this? I mean, of course we know sockets, right? Because that's everybody. We plug in those sockets, but is
The
there
door
anything?
handle holders, we
Yeah.
have
Is
all
there
those.
anything
Yeah.
extra that you guys think as blind parents that we should make sure that we proof in our homes?
Oh, that's really kind of you. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, when I did daycare, because I would have multiple toddlers playing, I always had a safe play space. So they didn't
Mm,
just have free run of the whole house. I had
yeah.
baby gates and two different doorways, and they were all kind of in one little area of the house that way. If I wasn't right there with them, I knew they were safe because I knew everything that was in that room. And to know everything that's in that room, I get down on the floor and I crawl around. Like
Yeah.
if I was
There
one
we
of the
go.
babies, right? I need to know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what their hands are going to find and what they're going to pick up, what they
Mm,
might, if they can get to an outlet or they can't, if there's any cords hanging,
mm,
um,
mm-hmm.
anything they could pull over, everything's, strapped to the wall if it's something that I would be concerned about them climbing on it or pulling on it.
Take it
Um,
out. Yep.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
you just gotta kind of get down in their space and check it out. And then if I couldn't just leave them and let's say I had to go do a chore around the house, then I put them in a carrier and I took them with me,
Mm-hmm.
or it was snack time and everybody was in their high chairs and their seats and
Yeah.
strapped in where I
Right.
knew they were
Yeah.
safe, and I
Mm-hmm.
just had my ears on them.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
you find your ways to do things for sure.
Well, and
Oh,
and I think Rodriguez said it really well. Like you get to know your kids especially, but like
mm,
the kids that
Definitely.
Leanne would babysit, she got to know him real well. And it's like, yo, he's been quiet way too long right now. It's been 20
mm-hmm.
seconds.
Yeah.
It's like,
Like, let's go check this out.
yeah, we're
Yep,
getting into something. We would
absolutely.
we would do that too. Like we used
Usually they're
to
hiding and filling their pants. That's why they're
Yeah.
quiet.
Right.
quiet. Well, that's a
Exactly.
good reason.
Mm-hmm.
We used to play cards with a group of friends, and it was kind of a fun like uh everybody would get their families together and the kids would all run around the house and play, and you'd be amazed at the number of times that Leanne and I are sitting at the table, all these sighted parents and all these kids running around, and we'd be like, hey, Steve, you may want to go check on your kid. I can hear him back there doing da 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 da.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we would
Uh-huh.
catch that stuff a lot of times
Yeah.
because we've trained our ears
Yep.
to hear what
Hmm.
the kids are up to and kind of like
Mm-hmm.
be monitoring that in the background. So
Yep. I've
Yeah.
even been in the same room with someone who is sighted who just wasn't paying attention, and I'll point something out and they'll be like, I didn't even notice that.
Me as well,
Uh-huh.
Leanne. I like to
Yeah.
call that one ear in and one ear on whatever else we're doing. But
you're
that
right.
one ear
Yes.
is
Yeah.
always on them children. Like, I don't care where I'm at or what I'm doing. Even if I'm looking at the phone, I still got the ear on you. I'm listening.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, Rodriguez, your homework is to go and crawl around the room and make sure everything is safe. I
And you can
think
play
that
with the
is awesome.
toys. That's
Yeah,
okay.
see, that would be your treat. Yes. So, yeah,
Oh,
but that is
definitely,
true.
definitely.
Yes, that is a good point too. And Rodriguez, again, we can't let other people tell us what we feel is safe, right? Because you're a dad, and we know that you are the most one that wants to keep your child safe, right? So if somebody is
Right.
coming in and they're, well, that's not safe, and okay, well, maybe you might, that's something you didn't notice, and that's fine. But then that just means, okay, well, I need to crawl around again and make
Yeah,
sure all this stuff is,
no big deal.
it's just in case. But I think always go with your, what's safe at the end of the day. But
Yes.
there are things we don't think of that somebody might notice, but I don't think it's anything about you being less of a parent because you might have missed something. I don't think you missed
No, not at
that.
all.
I don't think you missed that knife standing up in the middle of the couch. So I
Yeah,
don't.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
so
Exactly.
I think we got this.
Well,
Yeah.
with that being said, before we get to the final end of this, for my parents, do y'all have any last conveying words for our listener? Just a good word of jump.
Yeah.
I
I
think
would
the
just
main
say
thing.
if you're
Oh,
visually
go
impaired
ahead.
or a
Wait.
blind parent, uh, again, I think that the crux of it, what we've all said tonight, was you are a parent. Stay encouraged. You can do this. You've got this. And you ask for help when you need it, but when you don't, trudge on. You know what the dynamic of your family is, and and continue in that. Every family's different. Makeup is different. Child is different, and there's no like handbook for each child, right?
Hmm.
So stay encouraged
Yeah.
and just trudge forward, just as if you had sight. Being
Yes,
blind
Yes.
indeed.
deter
Yes,
Yeah.
you
indeed.
from feeling that you can't be a good parent or you have to be a dependent on other people to raise your
Awesome.
children.
Mhm.
Thank you. So, Leanne.
Okay, so I was gonna say something very similar to what Denise was gonna say, and or what she did say and said so well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing I want to add to that is it is okay to have what I like to call a village. We always have a village around us, and it's not just a village that we call on for help for us and our family, but we return the favor too. So, it
Mm-hmm.
might be I need somebody to drive my child to a homeschool co-op class or a sport they're in or whatever, but I like to return that favor. So, hey, if I can watch your kids, so you guys can have a date night, or
Mm,
maybe I set up a day where I do an art project with the kids. I mean, whatever. I just,
yeah.
we try to return the favor and always just build that village and know that parents need each other.
Yes,
It's
indeed.
Yes.
not just
Yes.
because you're blind that you need other parents.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Right.
Yes,
That's
yes,
a
indeed.
good point. We
Beautiful
don't
said.
always want to be the needy parents that's always, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. I,
Right.
I can I can offer something to the table too. So
But
Absolutely.
awesome.
it does take a village, and
Yes.
that was
Thank
beautiful
you.
said. Thank you.
All right, Tyler, you got something you want to add?
Yeah, Leanne took mine. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Um,
I figured. No.
yeah, no. I the thing I was thinking of too, and Rodriguez, your story kind of brought this to mind for me, but I think we have to give ourselves a little bit of grace
There we
too.
go.
Hmm.
Yeah, you gotta be able to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you will make. I promise you. There will be some errors, but that's every parent. Again, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have anything to do with your sight or loss of sight. You're going to make mistakes, and so give yourself a little bit of grace and be willing to learn and grow and listen to people. um Leanne and I are both athletes, so we have a lot of friends that are athletes, and we were at a tournament once,
A
and
go ball family.
yeah,
Yes.
yes, yeah, we are. And so we were at a tournament once, and one of my buddies, my daughter was super young, and he was holding her. We're in the hotel room, big group of people there. He's sitting on the edge of the bed holding my daughter, and oh, this is great. And he was just like, all right, I guess I'm done. And he like sets her on the bed and just kind of gets up and walks away. When
Oh, goodness
she
gracious.
she rolled off and she
Oh
landed
my
on a
gosh.
pile of clothes, and so she was fine,
Yeah.
started yelling, and I was like, he felt so bad. And
Yeah.
he was a teammate of mine, so I made fun of
Tyler's
him
never
for
gonna
for
let him
years.
live it
Oh
down.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
fantastic. But it was all in good fun, and she was totally fine. He now has three children, a fourth one on the way. He's a great father. Like, we have to be able
Yeah.
to kind of laugh at ourselves a little bit and
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
forgive ourselves for some of those errors.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a good point. Thank you. Jennifer?
Yes. So I'd like to also add that, being a parent is an ever adapting, evolving thing. And as many of you know that have multiple kids, no child is exactly the same. What works parenting wise for one kid may not work for another kid. And that is kind of like what I'm seeing with my own too. Like I have a very outgoing kid on one side and one kid that's just kind of like, okay, I need mom's help a little bit more. And so I'm finding that I'm having to baby that one a little more. But it's like Tyler said, you've got to give yourself some grace sometimes. Remember to take care of yourself. You come first, because if you're not taking care of yourself, then you can't take care of these kids.
Yes.
But just
that's a
always
good one.
remember, if you're the foundation for these kids, and they're going to grow from what you put into them. So
Yes.
I'm just kudos to anybody who's out there doing it, and kudos to anybody who's out there doing it with a visual impairment. They're just doing amazing. Good job, guys.
Yes, thank
Big
you.
salute. Yes, indeed.
Daniel?
All right. So I believe in mentoring. I've had mentoring in my life since I was 17, learning from other blind people. So when I found out that I was going to be a dad, I knew what to do. I called friends who were parents, and I got answers. What the hell am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
gave me their story as a parent. And even now, I'm here and I'm learning from you all. You
Yeah.
all are mentors and people that are going to be listening to this. Are going to be learning.
Yes.
When I
Yes.
became a father and gained some experience, ever since then, I've had a lot of people come to me asking questions about sexuality, about parenting, and a couple of them have children now because of my experiences, things that I shared with them.
Yes.
And beyond that, I'm looking forward to my child growing, both of them. I love fishing, and I want them to come with me. And I want them to be involved in sports and music, and I want to be right alongside with them, cheering on them and enjoying their art or whatever they engage in.
As you should. Yes, indeed.
Awesome.
So
Beautiful.
much fun ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's always good to ask questions. Definitely, like it's always good to ask other parents for their experience, and you
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
understand from there, and like, hey, you might
Well-
implement it in or whatever.
Well, it's just like how when I first went blind, right? The way that I started to thrive and become into my blindness is being around other blind people, right? So one of the things too is, like Daniel said, is not just being around other parents, but other parents like you, because that is the relatable space. Those are ones that you can really know. Well, I can believe and trust in what they say because they've done it. They've gone through it. So reach out. Yes. All right. So that is just wonderful advice from all of you. Thank you guys so much again for
Big
joining
salute
us
once
at the
again.
Thank you for
table.
having us.
You guys have, you've opened my eyes and even changed my tune on a few things. So
Yes,
I
indeed.
appreciate that. Thank you guys. And anytime that we can be of assistance to you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and join us at the table again as well. You're always welcome. All of you are always welcome at this table for anything. So thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Blind Table Talk, yeah.